open meeting of the Vesuvius Town Council, February the 4th, 2019 at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. So the first thing on the agenda is the adoption of some regular open minutes of January the 21st and some public hearing minutes of January the 21st. Could I have a motion, please, to, thank you, to adopt those? Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. By the way, Councillor Rhodes is joining us. He's on the phone. All in favor? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Next up is business arising from prior minutes, and this would be the business license bylaw number 1045.34, cannabis retail sales. And I will ask Ms. McKay for a little background on this, please.
Thank you. Am I on? Oh,
yes.
I'm on. Thanks. So a little background. So Council reviewed the attached report and the proposed amending bylaw at their January 21st meeting. The purpose of the report was to introduce business license amendment bylaw number 1045.32. The intent of the bylaw was to add the category of cannabis retail sales to the business license bylaw, along with the corresponding fee. Council members proposed two resolutions, which we'll get to in a second, in response to the staff report. Both resolutions were defeated. And the first motion was to include a fee of $500 in the business license bylaw, and the second motion was to include a fee of $300 in the business license bylaw, both for retail cannabis sales in the town of Vesuvius. So as per section 131, section 1 of the community charter, the mayor may require that council reconsider and vote again on a matter that was the subject of a vote. So staff can confirm that discussions with the mayor requested that this item be brought forward and placed on the agenda under business arising from the minutes, and that is why it is on your agenda today. And so there's no actual options or recommendations with this specific report, but those two motions are being brought forward at the mayor's request.
Thank you very much. So would someone like to make a motion based on option number, the first motion?
Yes.
All right. Councillor King is moving that that the business license fee be $500, which was what was recommended by staff. And is there a seconder for that? Councillor Bennett. So is there any discussion on this? I'll just say that, pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You got to wave.
Okay.
Okay. It's like CJ, he can't wave when he's on there.
Jump right in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to speak against the motion for a number of reasons. So while I acknowledge this is a purely political body, I'm strongly of the view that decisions should be on the basis of tangible, objective evidence or thoughts. Indeed, at the LGLA meeting last week in Kelowna, there was a suggestion of best practices for decision-making by this political body, and that we should use relevant criteria such as models, concepts, and principles to underpin it. And so, I would suggest there is a model here, and it's in the existing bylaw. Now, there's no purpose set out in the bylaw, and in some bylaws that might be appropriate. There's simply the clause that says refer to Schedule A. So Schedule A, I've asked Mrs. Hilson to put that up on the screen because it's not in our package. But Schedule A sets out that for all classifications of business there shall be a $75 fee except for the noted categories. And so even if we fail to pass a bylaw, there's a $75 fee that would apply to normal retail outlets like Unity Clothing or, the dress shop or anything like that. But I think I point more strongly to number 8, which is Banks, Credit Union, Hardware Store, Drugstore. Cannabis retail outlets or drugstores. We've already got a spot on the schedule, I would suggest. And when we look at the schedule, we see a range from $50 for a home-based business up to $300 for larger entities. It seems to be the numbers were based on size. We're talking about a small retail outlet here. And to have retail cannabis pay a $500 license when a drugstore pays a $300 license, and as most of us would have read, Shoppers Drug Mart has been approved for medical marijuana and will be dispensing over the counter and paying less for legal cannabis products. And so I find the $500 is in that circumstance where we have shoppers selling the same products at a lower fee, it's an inanity. It leads to an absurdity. So, you know, I don't know what it's based on. You know, I would say we look at the schedule, we look at other you know, $300 is the highest, except for the street vendors and their parking stall fees. You know, I don't want to see a number go in here that's based on, you know, considerations that aren't grounded. You know, fear of the evil weed or something of that nature. I can't support that kind of approach. Not to suggest, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, but, and I'll say, just as an aside, I stopped into the cannabis store south of Oliver on the highway and talked to the fellow that was working, and he said that 60% of his customers are medical, older people seeking pain relief, and that in the time they've been there, they've had 0 police call-outs, no break-ins, no issues, no problems. So I just don't see a justification, a rational justification for putting this one outside of what we have in front of us in the current bylaw. At some point in time, we may revamp the whole thing. There's been some discussion of that. That's fine. But right now, this is the model that's on the screen, and we should have it fit rationally and logically into that model.
Good. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to? Councillor Bennett.
I'd speak in favor of the $500, just basically because $300, basically we've had that sitting there for a long time, and we're going to relook at this and to go and say, let's do $300, and a couple of months from now say, okay, it should be $500. Doesn't make sense to me. And I think if you're the drugstore, $300 because you're a drugstore, you start selling cannabis, I would think that the town bylaw officer is going to come and you're going to be charged the higher amount on the next renewal because you're selling cannabis. You're going to move up from the drugstore to that level.
Thank you. Ms. McKay, do you have anything to add to this? You were the one who brought forward the bylaw, which, and I know that you had a reason for suggesting the $500 because all of the annual fees were going to increase at some point in the future. To me, that was my reason for supporting the $500 because it was going to happen. But I certainly can see both sides of it.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. That is in fact the case. What we had previously discussed with council was a tiered approach to the business licensing fee under a new business license bylaw, and that the $500 was keeping in line with what we were looking for as Councillor Harvey puts out, for other businesses within Category 8, along with liquor stores and liquor primary restaurants or establishments such as neighborhood pubs, and that we felt that that was a reasonable price, and that basically the $75 fee right now for a basic business license doesn't even cover the cost of the staff time to produce the licenses and mail out the reminder notices. So we felt that all the business license fees would have to be increased moderately, and that the options were perhaps to do that over a stepped process, as well as having the tiered process for the actual fees, that we could implement an incremental increase for existing businesses over a year or two. But that, during the previous discussion with council, we felt that it was getting to be too complicated to deal with at that one meeting, and that we should just bring forward the recommendation for the cannabis sales now, and that we would look for amendments to the business license bylaw as a whole in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like?
McKortoff, I have a comment.
Yes, Councillor Rhodes, and then Mr. Manco, did you want to?
I have one comment.
Okay. Councillor Rhodes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam McKortoff. Councillor Harvey came up with some very, very compelling arguments. I would support all of his comments and speak against this motion. I would also like to add that I feel that the $500 fee is very, very punitive at this time. I always hate, making decisions based on things that may or may not happen in the future. I've always felt that it's very important to deal with what's on our plate at this time. With due respect to the comments made about where we're moving with the business licensing fees, does not necessarily mean that in the future they are going to be that way. Council of the day could vote against it, we could change it, and that's why I hate to speculate and support a $500 fee at this time.
Good.
These are new businesses that are coming into our community. It is absolutely mandatory that we be supportive of everything that they do. They're legitimate legal businesses. I have a belief that every one of them is going to be an important part of the business community. And I just do not like pulling a particular segment of our business out and charging a fee, whether it's a business license or any other kind of fee, that's different than everybody else's. So I'm strongly opposed to this. I just think that it's very punitive, and we're picking on businesses that don't deserve to have it that way at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Manco?
Yes, I just had one point of clarification that in our existing bylaw we have drugstores, but those are pharmaceutical type of drugstores. They're prescription drugstores, over-the-counter drugstores. These are recreational. Cannabis is, although medicinal, but there's also a recreational component that is a part of the consideration for creating a separate category. And I just wanted to add that to the debate.
Thank you. Councillor King and then Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess not to really delay this decision, but I mean, how important is it that we pass this today when it could be, my understanding, it could be a month or 6 months before the province really decides to give these applicants a license, and maybe it'd be beneficial to bring back all these at the same time, if that was appropriate.
Can you answer that? I think you probably can.
I can, in fact, answer that. I think it's fairly important that we make a decision on this, even if it is only short-term, and we revisit the fees in conjunction with an entire business license bylaw review. It is quite likely that a cannabis license should be issued for at least the first application I would say within a month. And this is a recommendation for 3 readings of the bylaw, so it still needs to come back to council.
So it needs to be done today in order to allow the business the possibility of it coming forward. Did you have something to add? Go ahead.
With respect to the rationale and the explanation we got from Ms. McKay about what we might do in the future, I just note that Madam Justice Newbury of the British Columbia Court of Appeal, in a case that was challenging a taxing bylaw as arbitrary, unfair, and unreasonable, said that a bylaw must stand or fail on its own, that an unreasonable bylaw cannot be saved by an explanation. So that is, this will be the bylaw, and there will be a line item in here that says $500, and the reader has to be able to understand it on its own. And those rationales don't support a challenge. They wouldn't be used as evidence or supported as evidence in a challenge to this bylaw if there one were to be brought.
Okay, this is tricky, which is why we've gone through this a couple of times. But we do need to make a decision today. So I'm going to go with the motion. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this based on a $500 fee, and I will ask for all in favor. Against. Councillor
I'm
Rhodes.
opposed.
And that carried. So the motion has, it has been carried. So we will thank you for all of that, and we certainly appreciate hearing all of the rationale back and forth. So we are going to move on now to delegations, and I don't believe we have any. So I need to move to introduction of adoption of the agenda. So we're okay because we've already dealt with the, no.
Oh, you need to adopt the agenda.
Yes, so we will, we need to move that the agenda be, the adoption of the agenda as printed. Is there somebody who'd like to make a motion, please?
So
Thank
moved.
you, Councillor King.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rhodes is seconding that. All in favor? Okay, next.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And next is water matters. And first is the Mr. Zackel, Water District Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. So before Council is Water District Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1241.12, 2019. The Town of Osoyoos operates a rural water system under the Water District Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1241. Each year, the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as an amending bylaw to update the content and/or the fees and charges. In the overview, Schedule A, B, and E have been amended to reflect a $10.22 increase to water user fees for domestic use, with a 2.5% increase to the other water district user fees. The 2019 rate for the domestic use is $419.19. The proposed water district rates were discussed at the December 18th, 2018 budget meeting with council direction to bring this bylaw forward. The increase in rates is expected to raise an additional $14,200 in revenues, and the funding available for all water capital projects is $587,160. The 2019 water capital projects that are included in our budget include the water supply main Gyro Park to Starlight Inn, water treatment plant design, radio SCADA upgrades, twinning meter installation, develop a unidirectional water main flushing program, well number 8 pump and building upgrade, and rural area twinning for phase 2 and 3. Under implications for community, it's improved water infrastructure and improved water quality. Organizationally, there's no changes required. Under budget, increased revenues will assist with water capital projects. Significant dates, bylaw needs to be adopted prior to the financial plan being adopted. Sustainability, continued effort for protecting the environment, reduction of carbon footprint, and financial sustainability, and ensuring the proper use of water supply. So the options before council. Option 1, to give first 3 readings to Water District's Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1241.12, 2019. Option 2, to make further changes to Bylaw 1241.12, 2019 and give first 3 readings. And option 3, to leave Bylaw 1241.11 as is for 2019. And a recommendation before council and water councillors is option number 1.
Thank you very much. I would like to have a motion from our water councillors on this. Councillor Dollywall, are you option 1?
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you seconding that, Councillor Moreira? Thank you. But we all vote on it, correct?
Yep.
So all in favor of option 1? Thank you. Are you in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you. And next is the it's correspondence, and this would be Mr. Emenko. Are you going to speak to this? This is the RDOS budget.
Yes, we've included this as information for council from the regional district, and if council requires any additional information on the regional district budget and its impacts on the town, we would ask that a representative from the regional district come out and explain the budget to council. So I'm looking for that direction, whether or not additional information and a representative from the regional district is wanted to attend the meeting.
What is your feeling, council? Are you okay with the correspondence that you've received, or would you like to have somebody from the RDOS Budget Department come and speak?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we have someone from the RDOS come.
All right. Is there somebody who wants? Thank you. Councillor Bennett is seconding that. So we would then ask that we'll take a vote on it first. All in favor? Okay.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. That we would ask that the CAO contact John Kervink and ask him to come down to a meeting and explain this. I believe it has to be done by a certain date.
We would ask him if he's available for our next committee of the whole meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And the next is the sewer rates and regulations. Mr. Sackel.
Thank you. So before council now is the Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065-2019. Town of Vesuvius operates a sewer system under the town's Sewer Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1065. Each year the town's bylaws are reviewed, and when changes are required, they're brought forward as amending bylaw to update the contents and/or fees and charges. Bylaw Amendment 1065.20/2019 is brought forward for council's consideration. Schedule A and B have been amended to reflect a 2% increase to sewer user fees for single-family residents and a 1.46% increase to rural sewer user fees. The 2019 rate for the single-family residents is $256.12 in town and $349.12 in the rural area. In comparison, the town of Oliver is charging $258 per single-family residence. The proposed sewer rates were discussed at the December 18, 2018 budget meeting. Increase in rates is expected to raise an additional $27,600 in revenue. Funding available for capital projects in the sewer fund is $521,530. Our 2019 sewer capital projects include the main lift station reconstruction, extension to the Starlight lift station, new pumps and electrical kiosk at the golf course lift station, effluent pipe repair at Storage Pond number 2, solar array expansion project, radio SCADA upgrades, zero-scaping at the Wren project, storm and sanitary sewer condition assessment, and the golf course irrigation replacement. Implications for community is improved sewer infrastructure, again, improved lake water quality. Organizationally, no changes required. Under budget, increased revenues will assist with sewer capital projects. Significant dates, bylaw needs to be adopted prior to financial plan being adopted. Sustainability, continued effort for protecting environment, reduction of carbon footprint, and financial sustainability. Options before council. Option 1, to give first 3 readings to Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065.20/2019. Option 2, to make further amendments to Sewer Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1065/2019 and give first 3 readings. And option 3, to maintain existing Sewer Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1065/2018. And the recommendations, option 1.
Thank you very much. And this is voted on by all 7 councillors, including the water councillors on this one?
No, this is town.
Oh, it's not. Sorry. I thought because it was sewer in the outlying area that they would. Okay. Yeah. So you don't vote on this. I didn't want to vote. Councillor Rhodes is making a motion to give option 1. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you. Councillor King. Anybody need to make any comments on this? Okay, all in favor. Thank you very much.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And Mr. Zackel, water rates.
So the last bylaw I'm bringing forward is a Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1242.11/2019. This is for inside town boundaries. So Schedule A has been amended to increase water user fees by $10.29 for single-family residents, which is a 2.95% increase to the other water user fees. The 2019 single-family residential rate is $359.25. In comparison to the town of Oliver is charging $369.36 for single-family residents. The proposed water rates were discussed also at the December 18th budget meeting. And this increase in rates is expected to raise an additional $47,000 in water revenues. So options before council in this bylaw is to give first three readings to Water Rates and Regulations Amendment Bylaw 1242.11 2019. Option 2 to further amend Bylaw 1242.11 and give first three readings. And option 3 to leave Bylaw 1242.10 2018 as is for 2019. And as consistent with the other bylaws, the recommendation is option number 1.
Thank you very much. Could we have a motion, please, Council? Anybody like to make a motion on this? Councillor Harvey?
Option 1.
Okay, we're it's Councillor Harvey. I'm going to let you second that. Councillor Rhodes, you all right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody need to make any comments on this? As we can see in all of these, there are huge amounts that need to be paid out for sewer and water in the next while, so we need to have this organized so Mr. Zackel can work his magic and figure out where the money's coming from. Right? He's smiling, so that's a good thing. Okay, we've moved option number 1. All in favor? Thank you very much.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. That's passed. And next we have the zoning amendment bylaw at 1085.114. 2018, 3810 Lobelia Drive, and this is our senior planner, Mr. McArthur. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. So the purpose of this report is to request that Council consider zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.114, 2018. The amending bylaw, if adopted, would allow for the subdivision of the property into 17 small lot single-family dwellings. Overview, site context and proposal summary. The subject property consists of a 1.3126 hectare, 3.24 acre parcel in the southern area of town, bounded by Lobelia Drive on the east, single-family residential to the north, Highway 97 on the west, and Sonora Pond on the south. The property is currently zoned R1 single-family residential, which would allow for subdivision into single-family residential lots. The proposed new R2 zone would permit single-family dwellings on smaller lot sizes. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the parcel into 17 small lots as shown on attachment 3. The subject property has previously been used for agricultural purposes. Native vegetation on a large portion of the property has been removed or disturbed, with the exceptions of Sonora Pond and some areas of the banks around the pond. An application to remove the land from the agricultural land reserve was made by the applicant in 2018, and Council subsequently resolved to support the application on May 7, 2018. The subject property was then released from the ALR by the Agricultural Land Commission on October 12th of the same year. Environmental impact assessment. The property includes the northern section of Sonora Pond, which has been identified as habitat for endangered, threatened, and special concern species, including the blotched tiger salamander, Great Basin spadefoot toad, and the painted turtle. In conjunction with the rezoning application, an environmental impact assessment was conducted by Valley Environmental and a report provided to town staff on January 4th. Section 6.1 of the Environmental Impact Assessment provides a detailed list of actions to be taken to ensure protection of the wildlife identified on or near the subject property. The applicant must adhere to the following actions either at rezoning or the time of subdivision. The 12 to 27 meter buffer zone must legally be designated as a no-build, no-disturb covenant. And a physical separation between the subdivision and the covenant area, such as a fence or other means, shall be placed at the environmental setback to act as a barrier to prevent amphibians and turtles from entering the subdivision. The specifications for the separation will be determined and secured at subdivision stage. Figure 2 illustrates this environmental setback and the proposed covenant area. Policy, bylaw, and regulations. Current OCP designation on the subject property is low-density residential. In accordance with the residential policies, Section 9 of the OCP seeks to accommodate a range of densities throughout the community. Small lot sizes are encouraged wherever possible. Single-family residential developments are suggested to locate further from the town center, such as in the area of the subject property. Zoning bylaw number 1085 1998 requires a minimum lot area of 400 square meters. The proposed site plan illustrates that all proposed lots conform to this requirement. And as per the Town of Osoyoos Land Use Procedure Bylaw number 1235/2007, rezoning application signage was placed on the subject land, notifying the public of the pending application. Once a public hearing date has been set, the neighboring property owners and tenants will receive notification by mail, and notices will be placed in the local newspaper as required by Local Government Act. Road dedication. The Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure has granted preliminary approval for the rezoning, including the following conditions: that there will be no direct access to and or from Highway 97, and provision of additional road dedication on Highway 97 in the amount of 11.278 meters. Lobelia Drive along the eastern edge of the subject property is currently less than 16 meters in width, the required width for urban residential streets. Road dedication along that eastern edge of the subject property will be required at the time of subdivision. And rationale for the recommendation: staff recommend the rezoning as there is a R2 development immediately south of Sonora Pond, and the development also will provide additional housing options for residents and infill a currently empty parcel. The community proposed zoning will enable a subdivision application, providing additional options for residents. The rezoning process requires a public hearing. There are no costs at this time. Significant dates: if first and second reading are granted, staff are proposing a public hearing date of February 19th at 4:30. And sustainability: the proposal will ensure the Sonora Pond habitat is preserved and endangered species are protected. Options: 1A, that Council grants first and second readings to zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.114, 2018, and B, Council sets a public hearing date of February 19th, 2019 at 4:30. 2, Council rejects zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.114, 2018. 3, Council requests additional information before proceeding further. And 4, Council recommends any other action deemed appropriate. Recommendation: staff recommend option 1.
Thank you very much. I just had a question before we. Did you have a question too?
Go first.
Okay, I'll ask mine first. I'm a little bit concerned about the covenant area, and I get it, and I appreciate that. Once there is a fence or barricade put up between the developed property and this, who then has the responsibility of caring for that covenant area, or is it just left? And I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that. Do you or Miss McKay know the answer to that one?
They both do.
They both do. Okay.
Hi,
Thank you.
thanks, Mayor McKortoff. So, traditionally speaking, covenanted areas that are covenanted for the protection of the wildlife and the wildlife habitat, we don't generally go into them. If something had to be removed for some reason, somebody dumped garbage in there or something, town staff would take care of that because we're named in the covenant. But it's not, we're not going to go in there and maintain it, per se.
Okay, so I know the rest of the property, the rest of that pond is dealt with by the other development at the south end. So is that what happens now? Is that the property surrounding the pond is looked after by town staff?
So just to clarify, so the southern portion of the pond is common property to that strata. So the north area of the pond would actually be dedicated to the town. So it's a little bit different. Okay. The southern area also has a covenant for no build and no access, although it's a bit less restrictive in that they're allowed to go in there to maintain the trail. Okay. So we're not proposing a trail to be built on the northern portion of the pond.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. They don't really put a fence up there, though, do they? Behind those houses, if this goes forward.
I think that was what it said.
It is a condition of approval of the subdivision that fence be put in, and it would be on the private properties, so it would be their responsibility to maintain it.
So would it be like a normal 4, 6, 8 foot fence?
Thank you, Councillor King. The fence will be determined at subdivision stage, so the specifications and everything will be at that stage.
And then would this development kind of look like the Sonora development south of this, or this could look completely different?
It could look completely different.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions of this? Then would someone like to move option A, 1A, I assume, would be first?
I'll move option 1A.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rhodes, and Councillor King, you're seconding
Yeah,
that?
for sure.
Okay, that we grant first and second reading to this. All in favor? Thank you. And thank you. And we need a option 1B to do
I'll
what?
move that.
Thank you. A public hearing date of February the 19th, and that is a Tuesday. And the reason that it's a Tuesday is that Monday is BC Day, so council meetings and all meetings are moved to the Tuesday that week. Okay, so we have it moved and seconded. Am I correct? Yes, Councillor Bennett. That we have the public hearing on 4:30 here in council chambers on February the 19th. All in favor? Thank you very much.
I'm in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. I just want to also note that that is a public hearing there's also a public hearing at 4 o'clock that day for the retail store at the Owl Pub. You'll recall that came forward at a previous council meeting. And we'll be asking to resolve into special meeting following the public hearing for Lobelia, depending on the Lobelia public hearing and what kind of input we receive. And then council would have the option to go in a third, but that will be in the report from the senior planner on that agenda.
All right. Thank you very much. Everybody's okay with that? Okay, next we have two council meeting reports, one from Councillor Harvey, one from me. Is there somebody who would like to move those? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Rhodes. Are you seconding that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. He has a delay while he takes a... No, kidding. No. All right, all in favor?
I am curious.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
I know you often correct mistakes. I'm wondering about the total at the end of your report.
Oh,
well, 2,500.
It's not 2,500. I'm sorry, it's 250. I thought I corrected that because I'd forgotten to put in the decimal point, I think. Please know that it's 250.
I apologize.
Not when I looked at it. Yeah, I should have weighted it out, but I didn't. Okay, thank you for pointing that out, Councillor Rhodes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, next is the, Mrs. Hilson, are you doing this one?
I am.
Okay, the Penticton Model Aviation Club. Go ahead.
Oh, I just destroyed my... Thanks. So, background information. Council has approved a use agreement with the Penticton Model Aviation Club, PENMAC, for a one-year term each year since 2013 in order for PENMAC to use the airport to fly model aircrafts. There have been no issues in the past with the use of the airport by PENMAC for this purpose. They are requesting an agreement for the use of for another year ending December 31st of 2019. Insurance is provided through the Model Aeronautics Association of Canada in the amount of $7.5 million for bodily injury and property damage and $1 million in tenant liability. There is no fee being charged to the group as there is no direct expense to the town. All other terms of the previous agreements remain the same. Implications for the community: the club provides a recreation opportunity for local people and brings other people to town to participate in the activities. Organizationally, just staff time and monitoring the contract. Budget: no impacts, no significant dates, and no sustainability issues. Options before council is that council approves the agreement with PENMAC for the use of the Solis Airport for the term of January 1st to December 31st of 2019, and that the signatories for the town be authorized to execute the agreement. Number 2, that staff make changes to the agreement and return to council for further review. And 3, that council not approve the agreement with PENMAC for the use of the Osoyoos Airport.
Thank you very much. Councillor King?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask a question before I make the motion? Who has, if this gets passed, who has first right of refusal to use it on a same given day? Like I'll say, if the drag strip wanted to use it and they come down the same day, who gets preference?
And are there certain days, I was going to ask, that they use
Well,
it?
the drag strips is identified for specific days. I don't know that this use could be on any particular type of a day. So, given that the drag people, the drag strip people have identified dates, they would get priority.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I guess this group is made aware of different
Yes,
days
yeah.
of the
There's
year.
never been a conflict or anything
Yeah.
like that.
And we're named as on the insurance?
Yes.
Okay,
Option number 1.
thank you. And Councillor Bennett has seconded that. So with option number 1, all in favor? Thank you very much.
I'm in favor.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. And next, Mr. Romankos, the Osoyoos Child Care Centre expansion.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. The Osoyoos Child Care Centre has a 99-year lease with the town of Osoyoos on the subject property. This is a net lease that has the centre paying all associated operations, maintenance, and improvement costs. The centre also has to carry $5 million in liability insurance and have the town as a third-party insured. The centre must have town approval prior to making any improvements to the building or property. The centre is applying to the provincial government for a grant to enable an addition to the facility. The grant is 100% funded to a maximum of $1 million, which enables the creation of additional child care spaces. Currently, there is a wait list to enroll a child in the centre's program. Attached is the centre's grant application that enables the following improvements to the building: additional 3,200 square feet of space over 2 floors, 3 bathrooms, kitchen, storage, landscaping, and furniture. The centre requires approval from council to make the noted improvements to meet lease obligations and a resolution to support the grant application, which will be forwarded to the grantor. The centre is providing a needed service to the community and currently has a wait list of persons looking to have their children enrolled in the centre's services. The addition will create an additional spaces, which more children to enroll and make the community a more attractive place to reside for young families. Organizationally, the town must make the application and agree to grant management. No budget implications. Significant dates: the requested information will be forwarded to the grantor. The closing date of the application was January 18th. However, the grantor will accept this needed information. In terms of options: 1, the council provides separate resolutions approving the improvements to the property and a resolution supporting the current improvements to the facility and the agreement to complete the grant management. 2, council denies one or both of the requests. 3, council requests additional information prior to making a decision. The recommendation is option 1, and the administration has provided suggested motions meeting the required needs of the grantor.
Thank you. Can I ask, it's the organizational, the town must make the application and agree to grant management. Can you explain what grant management means on this?
The money will be sent to us,
Oh, I see.
and then we'll have the responsibility for paying the bills.
Okay. So, and I see that there are plenty of letters of support for this. So, is there somebody who would like, now you need 2 separate motions?
Resolutions.
2 separate resolutions. They provide separate resolutions approving the improvements to the property. So, would somebody like to move one of the resolutions? Councillor Bennett?
I moved motion 1. I've been there and seen how they work in there, and I think this is be a big welcome to them. It's going to be a great thing to them.
Okay, somebody seconding that? Thank you. Councillor
I'll
Harvey?
second that.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey did. So we're voting on this one and then we're making a separate motion. Okay. So all in favor of option number 1? Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And now you need a second motion, and that would be option number 2.
Recommendation number 2.
Sorry, recommendation number 2. That's it, all right. Thank you. So that they approve the support
I moved it.
and further provide grant management for the approved funds. Okay, Councillor King has moved it. Councillor Bennett seconded that. All in favor? Thank you very much, everybody.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. And next is the Fire Department Master Plan.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. The fire department identified the need to plan for future manpower and capital equipment needs. A master plan study requested for proposal was approved by council, and Response Specialties was hired to complete the master plan. The proposal development was completed by the CAO and the chief and fire officers. In the process of developing the master plan, it was determined there was an overall organizational review was needed to support the work of the master plan. An organizational review was also included as part of the existing contract. The master plan process included interviews and presentations to council, Rural Fire Protection District, fire chief and officers, and the fire personnel. Attached is the completed Osoyoos Fire Department Master Plan. First and foremost, the plan identifies that the Osoyoos community has a lot to be proud of in the operations of the fire department. Strengths exist in the facilities, equipment, recent restructuring of governance, and the commitment of the firefighters to the paid-on-call system. The plan identifies issues the consultant feels must be addressed and have developed a schedule of priorities. The study identifies that changing nature of society's views of volunteerism, the fire service environment, and the expectation of communities have placed demands on the fire department, resulting in a need to move to the next level of operations. This was the general impression of the fire department, officers, town administration, and council prior to the study. The in-depth and professional content of the study provided credence to the assumptions that were led to implementing the study. Included in the changing environment are the need to ensure greater attention to training and safety of the firefighters and their work environment now and in the future, ensured compliance with all regulatory statutes that impact fire services, closer attention to the regulatory statutes, and a professional assessment of facility operations and capital equipment purchase and maintenance. A few of the key recommendations of the study that are going to have budget and operations impacts in this current and future years include hiring a full-time fire chief, increased training to meet the requirements of the provincial fire playbook, greater attention to detail and record management, review of fees paid to paid-on-call firefighters, immediate replacement of a fire truck, greater attention to fire prevention, fire regulation, and bylaw enforcement and education activities. In terms of implications, the community benefits from having a fully trained and engaged fire department with leadership that has the confidence of the community, council, and the firefighters. Meeting firefighter underwriter standards enables the community to enjoy lower fire insurance rates. Organizationally, additional time of paid fire chief will enhance the organization. Budget, significant budget impacts over the next 5 years to bring the department in line with recommendations in the report. Significant dates, the report highlights the priorities for implementation and the timelines to follow. In terms of options, Council option 1, Council passes the resolution endorsing the Osoyoos Fire Master Plan completed by Response Specialties as an organizational planning and implementation document. 2, Council passes a resolution accepting the Fire Information Master Plan for information. And 3, Council requests information prior to making a motion. The administration recommends option number 1. The plan identifies many recommendations for immediate implementation to improve the fire department. Having a council motion that supports the implementation assists in budgeting and work plan development.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to thank Mr. Romanko for all the the time that he has spent dealing with this and dealing with the fire department and the people who completed the master plan for us. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I've got something in my throat here. Take another drink. What is it?
Dry in here now.
Yeah, it is. And I just want to point out that this plan is going to be implemented over 5 years and not all of it today. So, because otherwise it would be too much of a good thing for us to take on. So thank you very much, Mr. Emanko, for all the work that you've done in trying to get this ready. So would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move option 1, Mayor McKortoff.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rhodes. Councillor Harvey, you seconding that? Thank you. All in favor of option 1? Thank you.
In favor.
Thank you. And the fire department master plan is on our website. Am I correct?
It will be
Okay.
after this meeting.
And so that anybody who wanted to read it in detail can go on the town website and find it. Okay, next is the general net payroll and Sunbow Arena financial accounts. And that would be to report on expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information. So the general cash requirements up to February the 4th, 2019 represent balance of the following funds in the amounts of $478,882.32 for general cash, Sunbowl cash requirements of $3,196.18, and those would both be adopted by consensus. And the net payroll accounts of $85,904.46, and that is received for information. So, we will go back to the agenda, and we have a CAO report. Mr. Emanko.
Thank you, Mayor McKortoff. Just in terms of a few of the activities of the administration over the last couple of weeks, starting first with community services, the Sunbowl staff had a second inspection with WorkSafe BC in relation to working with ammonia, and was very successful. Dennis High, our occupational health and safety consultant, will be at Osoyoos on February 19th to continue working on our occupational health and safety program. The deadline for the Community Services Grant Program is February 22nd. Please make sure you get your applications in time. Staff have registered for a professional certificate in asset management planning. The Family Day Disco Skate planned for February 18th will be between 12 and 2 at the Sunbowl Arena. A wood carving workshop for children and adults is scheduled for February 13th to 15th. And invitations have been sent out for the 18th Annual Volunteer Appreciation Event. This year the event has been moved to a breakfast. In terms of corporate services, they've been working with the fire department in terms of turning their records into electronic record keeping. The fire department occupational health and safety committee was set up, and an inaugural meeting was held, and policies and procedures being developed. Some follow-up to 2018 municipal tickets. One Freedom of Information request was responded to, and the director attended the Emergency Support Services regionalization meeting at the regional district. And a relief clerk position was posted, closing the date of February 1st. The director attended a transit focus group meeting to discuss the regionalization of transit and improving options for connections to Kelowna from Penticton, and a review of the public engagement information that was received in December. In terms of our finance, their focus is twofold: on the audit preparation for the audit, and also the final preparations of budget. Planning and development, no new building permits have been issued since the last report. Planning staff continue to receive cannabis retail store inquiries. In terms of, there's also some plans being looked at for the redevelopment of the Richter Pass, and the Woodward approval has passed level 1 at the province. Staff are working on the lease agreement. In terms of public works, 3 water main service leaks were fixed at Lilac Court, Lakeshore Drive, and Lobelia. They performed an inventory and condition assessment of all park benches throughout the community. Plowing and sanding was done throughout the community during the snow event of January 22nd, and they're currently working with True Consulting They performed the initial evaluation of 5 bids received for the main sewer lift station replacement project. TRU is now checking references supplied by the preferred bidder and will be working with this contractor to develop reduced costs on the project. In terms of myself, I've met with the fire department officers in relation to the fire master plan implementation. I've met with the Rural Fire Protection District to discuss developing a fire bylaw for rural protection area. I've been working with the planning department on the workshop format for the resort municipality stakeholder meeting, and I've also had discussions with the District of Peachland on their fire department operations model. They also continue to work to get the permit from the Ministry of Transportation to enable our cycle development path from Lakeshore Drive to Cottonwood Drive. And that's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Despite being sick, you seem to have been very busy. So he's had the cold, and like several other people in the office. So we're hoping we're over the worst of that, all of us. We need a motion to have to receive the CAO report. Thank you, Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. Thank you. And now we will have council reports, and Councillor King, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had the opportunity to represent the town going to a workshop in Kelowna January 23rd to the 25th, along with the mayor and Councillor Harvey. And a couple of the workshops I found very interested to me personally, and hopefully to the town, was local government and First Nations working together and how we could maybe open up a dialogue. And the other one was asset management and why is it so important. So when you hear a lot of money being spent on water or sewer, that's really a need in town that has to be done against the wishes of town, which is really a want, and that becomes the hard decisions for council. Also, I had the enjoyable night of attending the Rotary's First Responders Gala Thursday night, which was a great event, lots of fun. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Harvey?
Yeah, so I attended the same workshop, and I agree with Jim that the talk on local government First Nations program, and I suggest we get more information on it. It's facilitated by some facilitators from the province to work together in terms of understanding the First Nations situation and history, and having council or town municipality hear it, and then my sense is they're more likely to engage in projects if they feel that they're being heard in that manner.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Bennett?
I don't have too much to say because I've been away, except that Wednesday is going to be kind of exciting because it's the first orientation with Destination Slays, and without economic development and new direction and some new people on the board, will be interested in what comes out of that meeting.
Yes.
And I just want to say, in closing, very great job on that fire report. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, do you have anything to report today?
Our tours are good.
Well, nothing that would be any interest to anybody.
Okay, well, enjoy the warmth, and it may not even be that warm, but it's obviously warmer than here, so that's a good thing. So
it definitely is.
I was also at the local government leadership academy in Kelowna. It was very interesting to hear the speakers talk on things, and one of the main ones that I enjoyed was the asset management. So maintain a delivery of service, plan for the future, manage your risk, and budget smartly. Those were the 4 points that, amongst a number of other things that she said. So it really made us think about what is going on in towns, and what we need to do is make sure that we, and I think we ask for this, what the true cost of things are, because oftentimes people say, well, why don't you just build this? Well, there's not only staff time, but there's construction costs and planning costs, and so in order to have anything come forward to council, we need to be very clear ourselves about what the costs are and what the ongoing costs are, and we need to make sure that the public understands that as well, because sometimes they will ask us, well, why aren't you doing this, or why aren't you maintaining this? And legislatively, so many services are legislated by the Local Government Act and the Community Charter, and that takes more time and it takes more manpower to do it. People say, well, 30 years ago we could run with an office staff of 2. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't happen these days. Anyway, that was a very, a very interesting meeting with lots of other people from up and down the valley, and it's always worthwhile going to those things. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the Rotary Club in Osoyoos for organizing a gala event the other night. People were dressed to the nines, and Councillor Harvey even bought a bow tie to wear, and Councillor King was in his tux, of course. And so it was a very well-organized event. It was reminiscent of the old dances that we used to put on where we all got dressed up. I'm talking back in the dark ages, of course. But we had a fireman's dance, the hospital auxiliary dance, the snowball frolic, and people did get dressed up. So it was really nice to see everybody get dressed up. And I thought the idea of honoring members of the first responders, the fire department, the police department, and the ambulance was a wonderful way to recognize some of the people in our town that work so hard to protect us. So it was really a great event, and I particularly want to say not only just to the Rotary Club, but to Jim and Cheryl King. You guys did an amazing job of organizing this, and Councillor King even drove the bus to drive everybody home after. And I understand that Mrs. King also did some driving. So, so we thank you very much, and it was a great event to go to. And I know it was Groundhog Day on Saturday, and the groundhog, apparently most of the groundhogs did not see their shadow, which meant that there was 6 more, or that spring would be coming soon and not 6 more weeks of winter. Hard to believe that today. So I just want to make sure that everybody stays warm. And if you have a problem with your furnace, like I did yesterday, phone the appropriate people and get it fixed. And stay warm and enjoy spring, because it's going to be here soon. Okay? Could we have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you very much.